So they're all dry. I'm just going to sand them down. I've got my mat here. I've had this a couple of years now and it's surviving quite well. These little bobbles sometimes get knocked off, but there isn't many missing. You know, my table gets a bit of abuse, glue on it and all sorts of things, so give it a good scrape down first, make sure there's no lumps that are going to damage your wood. But I'll start, that's the front, so I'll start sanding the back first, then when I flip it over and sand the other side, if I do cause any damage, you know, if there's anything, any little bits, any lumps of glue or something that get under here, at least that's on the back then, and I've finished with a nice face on the other side on the front. Sander's got 60 in there, 120 in there. Most of it will just take the 120 because they're very flat. But here and there I might want to just go over it 60 just to line things up if there's any lumps or if there's any planing marks. So I just sanded that side. You see this little black mark here? You can just see it there. There isn't any more. But that's from the clamp when it was sat on the sash clamps. Doesn't matter, this is going to get sprayed, but if it weren't going to get sprayed, I'd put a piece of hardboard up underneath, make sure that the wood isn't touching the clamp. So I'll do the other side. And what I'll do is just quickly whiz over it with the 60, just get everything flat. Get any, got a little notch in the blade on the planer. You feel just a little line sometimes. Can't see it, but you can feel it, and it'll show up with the paint. So anyway, whiz over it with 60, then polish it up with 120. Doesn't take much. Oh, that's it. I already sanded the panels before I put them in, so that's quite smooth. Excellent. Very slight step on the edge here. I think what that is when I cut the wood, don't know if I've got a piece to show you. You cut the wood, you get that little burr on the back, even though I've got a piece of timber at the back there. I don't know what it is, but it's got a very slight step. Doesn't matter, just whip that off. This is a good example why I use the PU glue. See the glue line there? If I try scraping that off, I'll just lift the veneer on the ply and start becoming all ragged, a bit dog to clean off. The PU glue, you just scrape it off, very easy to sand. I could sand that back, I'm going to have to sand it back a bit, but what I'm going to do is just put some cork around here, try and cover that a little bit. I normally like to leave it nice and crisp and square. So I sanded that off smooth a little bit against this wood, so when I run some cork in it's not going blub 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 blub. See, I've lost a bit of veneer there. This was on the underside when I clamped them up. I could have wiped it with a rag, but there'd always be a little bit of squeeze out that finds its way later. Right, so that's them sanded. I'm so glad I bought another sander, so I don't have to keep changing discs. That's good. Quite a neat line on the back, not much gap. I have to put a bit of filler in it, but that's quite neat. Like I say, the beading will cover this gap. Like a dat. Just need to sand these edges off a little bit. Start fitting the beading. I transferred the numbers that I had on the face to the ends. Doesn't really matter, that was more to pair them up, you know, for whatever bow, so one wasn't doing that and one wasn't doing that. It doesn't really matter now, but just keep them in order. Right, so I'm cutting all the beading. I'm going to cut this mitre on this end first. Put them all at the same time. This is the angle that I want, but you can't just flip these over and leave the mitre at that angle because it wobbles around. But you can, if I get this right way around. I could stick that down with a bit of double-sided, and then that would sit on top of there, and that would sit parallel. If that makes sense. Problem is you don't always get it right, you get it sometimes off a little bit like that. So I'll continue cutting these. I've got a pencil mark there, and I'm holding this side because this piece, this mitre is important. The offcut I'm not too bothered about. That's the one I want. Right, so now I've got a little edge to work to. So I've got 8 of those cut with a mitre just on one end. And what I can do now is offer that up. Do the little ones first. So I can offer that up there. Sharp pencil. Make a little pencil mark. Now I can offer that pencil mark up to that point there. Make a cut. It should just fit. I'll do this little one next. Same again. Just mark that there. So that one fitted nicely. Now what's tempting to do is to put that in there and mark it, but for some reason it never quite fits. So what I prefer to do is just go up to the wood here. Sometimes your beading might be, you know, just cockled a little bit or something, I don't know. I prefer to mark it off the wood. I'm going to spring this one in a little bit anyway. So, accurate mark, and then I'll leave the pencil line in when I cut it. I can just see my pencil line on the tip of there. There. And of course this one's too big, so keeping that down, throw it in. Get a nice tight joint. Got to be careful though, you see how that's sitting back just a fraction. See my mitre's just in a little bit on that one. If you make these too long, then it pushes that past, that mitre goes past, and then you end up with like a little step there. But that's okay. Do this one exactly the same. When I come to glue it, use a little block on the edge. It's a bigger one than that. Sometimes if you use a little block, it can sometimes just crease that mould over a little bit. Where's my hammer? Oh. I'll get the rest of them done. Get them all glued in. I'm going to glue them in solidly. I've got a little headless pinner here. I think they're 20mm. But I'll put them in this bit of bead going in at an angle. That'll be enough. So I'll leave my beads pretty much where they're going to be, so I don't get them mixed up. Little ones first again. This is a piece of ply, so we don't need to allow for movement on it. It's not going to go anywhere. And I don't want these beads lifting at a later point, so sometimes as I put them in, I try to put them in so that they're like that, so as they squish the glue down, it's pushing it in rather than pulling it out onto the outside face, onto the outside edge there. But these ones I'm not going to have any choice, I'm just going to have to spring them in. do like this little gun, but when you run out of nails it doesn't tell you. You can't really tell, so you have to keep checking. And I ain't going to come through the other side, but if they do, they just pull through because they've got no head. They don't really break out on the other side. So let's just get this glue cleaned up. Just got a little bit of glue squeezing out here and there. Just get that cleaned up. I might go get a damp cloth. They're looking quite good. Gaps are looking okay. Just got a bit of cleaning up to do on these bottom edges. Give them a sand. Get some hinges on. Just going with traditional butt hinges. So I should have a jig somewhere for them. Right, before I put hinges on, I'm going to sort out these ends. See, they're just stepped off. They're all the same and all quite consistent, and they're all a consistent distance apart. It can't be just, you know, like one floor. It's, like I say, it's consistent, so it's something to do with the machine, I'm presuming. There is a little bit of play in these. So I don't know if that's that. I thought it was, you know, when you cut a piece of wood, you get a burr on the back. But if it was that, then it wouldn't be so consistent, because every one of them's got it. And I tried to check that there wasn't such a burr. See, there's a bit of a burr on there, but not all of them have that burr on. Anyway, plane that off. Right, so you see they're better now. All of them. Time for hinges. I think I'll do that Monday. Saturday today, bad enough.